New Guinea contains some of the most isolated, formidable terrain on the planet. Deep within the island's interior, thousands of square miles of forest remain separated from the modern world by jagged peaks and a nearly impenetrable canopy. In the 1990s, archaeologist Dr. Ken Aplin traveled to a remote cave in western New Guinea. During an excavation of the cave floor, he pulled several unusual fossilized teeth from the sediment. These specific jawbones and molars belonged to two marsupials that had never been documented by modern science. One was a specialized striped possum, and the other was a small, leaping glider. Fossil records from Queensland suggest these lineages lived in Australia 300,000 years ago. As the climate shifted during the Ice Age, they retreated north, finding a final thermal refuge in the rainforests of New Guinea. But then the trail stopped. The fossils date back no further than the mid-Holocene, roughly 6,000 to 7,500 years ago. The Holocene is the current geological epoch, which began roughly 11,700 years ago after the last major ice age. Without any evidence of their existence after this point, science declared both animals extinct. Biologists began referring to them as a Lazarus taxon. A Lazarus taxon refers to a group that vanishes from the fossil record for a massive stretch of time, only to be found living long after science presumed it was gone. Finding two mammals that had been missing for 6 millennia isn't just a lucky break. It reveals that our current accounting of global biodiversity is missing entire branches of the evolutionary tree. Searching for survivors meant looking past the soil of prehistoric caves and into the backrooms of modern university collections. These specimens were collected in 1992, but they sat misidentified in preservation jars for decades. It wasn't until researchers re-examined the anatomy of these fluid-preserved animals that they realized these weren't common possums. They were the extinct species from Aplin's cave. The next break occurred years later, when a worker participating in a biodiversity survey photographed a small, unusual animal in the wild. The visual evidence in the photo confirmed the identification. If you look at the band of white fur extending from the lip to the eye, it matches the fossils perfectly. The pygmy long-fingered possum was still alive. Scientist Tim Flannery and his team began a 2-year investigation to confirm the survival of both the possum and the glider. They realized they were documenting 2 biological resurrections at the exact same time. Researchers had been blinded by an incomplete fossil record. This discovery proves that just because we haven't found a bone in 6,000 years doesn't mean the animal has stopped breathing. The search led to the lowland rainforests of the Vogelkop Peninsula. The Vogelkop, also known as the Bird's Head Peninsula, is a rugged region in the Indonesian province of West Papua that has served as a stable evolutionary sanctuary for millions of years. Reconciling these sightings with the fossil record required working alongside the people who never believed these animals were gone, the Maibrat and Tombrau indigenous clans. Tribal elders immediately recognized the glider in the photographs. They identified it as toe swan, a sacred animal that they have tracked and observed for generations. The clans provided details on the possum's bizarre physiology. It has an elongated 4th digit, twice the length of its other fingers, which it uses like a specialized probe for extracting grubs from deep inside rotting wood. They also shared critical behavioral data about the glider. It lives in monogamous pairs and uses a powerfully prehensile tail to snap onto branches and vines, arresting its movement mid-leap. This combination of fossil data and indigenous knowledge allowed scientists to establish an entirely new genus named Tois. A genus is a biological ranking that groups together closely related species. Establishing a new one means identifying a lineage that has been evolutionarily distinct for millions of years. Western science didn't find these animals in the forest. It finally recognized the accuracy of a millennia-old indigenous oral tradition. Now that these marsupials have returned to the scientific record, they face a new threat, the industrialization of the Vogelkop Peninsula. These marsupials only nest in the hollows of the oldest, tallest merbau and ironwood trees. Merbau is a species of flowering tree that is highly valued for its durable, dense timber, making it a primary target for logging operations. Commercial palm oil expansion has already replaced large sections of this ecosystem with industrialized plantations. For the animals living in the canopy, this forest conversion means the total loss of their only nesting sites. The biology of the Tois glider makes recovery difficult. Because they are monogamous and produce only one offspring per year, their population cannot bounce back if their habitat is fragmented by logging. Conservationists are now caught in a delicate balance. They must keep the exact locations of these animals secret to protect them from wildlife traffickers, while simultaneously lobbying for legal land rights for the indigenous communities. These Lazarus species have cheated death once. Their future now depends on protecting the indigenous guardians who ensured they didn't actually vanish 6,000 years ago.